In today's Daily Viewpoint, we're talking about the business climate here in North Texas. Trey Bowles of Startup Texas will be joining us on the couch today to talk about starting a business and whether or not this is a good time to do so. This is a video from a recent event at Cowboy Stadium where potential new business ideas were pitched and received. Small business is said to drive the economy. You know, we hear that a lot. Yeah. And many who are out of work quickly become entrepreneurs during a recession. But you know, it takes a lot to get a small business up and running. And we're going to talk about that and what businesses are booming here in the Dallas area. Do you have a small business idea that you're working on? You'd like to get some feedback on? If so, hop on Facebook and ask Trey a question. You can join our conversation by going to the Texas Daily Facebook page or by tweeting us at the Texas Daily. You can also email us your comments at ktxdtv.com. Welcome back to the Texas Daily, and today we're joined on the couch by Trey Bowles from Texas, or Startup Texas, that is, a resource for new entrepreneurs looking to start up businesses. So welcome, Trey. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're glad you could join us. Absolutely. And tell us about Startup Texas. Exactly, is it a new organization? What is it, and what services do you offer?
Yeah, well, so Startup Texas is a branch of something bigger called Startup America. Okay. Startup America was started by Steve Case, co-founder of AOL, about 1.5 years ago. And the idea was, how do we help high-growth startups be successful? And what they realized pretty quickly was, in order to effectively help people all across the country, they needed to find what they call regional champions in these different states that could go out there and be the hands and feet of the organization. So, for example, if somebody calls the organization in DC and says, I need to find out what attorney to use and I live in Houston. Well, they have no idea what to do, and so they begin to pass that out. So what we focus on kind of 3 main things. The first thing being discounts and resources. So you sign up to be a free member, and then you get access to all kinds of discounts that entrepreneurs need. Things like discounts on travel, discounts on shipping, discounts on printing services, and so forth and so on. Things that as a startup company you actually need to have. I know as an investor, if my startup companies aren't focused on cutting corners here and there and saving a penny here and there, I'm not interested in giving them my money.
Sure.
So there's also resources that we have. You have webinars and white papers, and you're talking about some of the biggest and brightest entrepreneurial minds in the world. I mean, the board has Steve Case from AOL, Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn. It's got Tory Burch, who we all know. I mean, it's just really stacked. And so bringing to bear those sorts of resources and knowledge and expertise is great. Second of all, we do connections. We help connect people to funding sources. We help connect people to mentors. We're able to bring them together with major corporations that can get involved with what they're trying to accomplish, whether that's a vendor relationship, a merger or acquisition.
And the third
is celebration of startups.
Oh, great.
We do whatever we can to get them in the media and promoting them across the internet and the web, and really kind of want to be a champion for what they're doing.
I guess the big question right now, though, is this a good time, just coming out of a depression, to start a new business?
Yeah, well,
or a recession, I guess.
Well, and I think a lot of times entrepreneurials are choose to be entrepreneurs, and other times they don't. It just is an extension of what happens. So in a recession like we just had, a lot of people are looking for work, and they're trying to figure out where they go, and it's not there. Right. So they're forced to kind of go within and say, well, what can I do? And I think entrepreneurs start in that. I think other entrepreneurs say, if I can start a business in a recession, then it'll thrive when we come out of it.
Anytime,
So we're seeing a lot of that.
I've seen a lot of baby boomers that in retirement or near retirement, they're looking for the things they are looking for their income. What sort of 3 key pieces of advice do you have for them starting off that they won't lose their shot and lose their
money?
Sure,
I mean, I think one of the most important pieces of what I encourage people to do is jump into an idea, not dive into an idea. So often we think it's more valiant or passionate to empty our 401k, throw it all into a business idea, and go full bore on it. So what I tell people to do, I use the analogy of a pool, but if you're going to jump into this pool or dive into this pool, you need to walk up to the edge of the pool and you need to look around. How deep is the water? Can I see the bottom? If I jump in, can I get out?
Can I swim?
Can I swim? And so I call it calculated entrepreneurship, but really walking through sort of a feasibility analysis of, is this a good idea? Is there a market for this? How am I going to price it? Is somebody else doing this? If so, why or why not? So I think it really comes down to thinking through and understanding the opportunity.
But the success and failure rate is pretty intimidating. You were just talking about those numbers, right?
Yeah, about 95% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
You know, a book that has really helped me in a movement, and I've met these guys, is Lean Startups by Eric Ries.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things you clearly get in there is that you really need to think about, is there a market for this idea, product, service beyond me? Would you talk about that a minute, how you think
How do you
that through?
evaluate that?
Yeah, that's my question. How do you?
Well, and I
determine
think that comes back a little bit to the feasibility analysis and doing your research, both quantitative and qualitative research, and really understanding in the marketplace, is there a need, is there an opportunity? With technology and the internet, it's so much easier today to do that kind of research and kind of do a thorough exploration of whether or not there's a market for this. I think another thing that Eric says in his book that I really stand behind is the idea of minimum viable product, or MVP, which is, so often in businesses a failure that we have is we constantly are tweaking and changing our product and service, trying to get it just perfect before we launch it. And what Eric says is, get your product into the marketplace, get your service out there.
It's never perfect.
It's not going to be perfect. But the only way you can make it better is having actual interaction with customers.
Is Dallas, or North Texas in general, a better than average place to start a business because of the resources, because of the people here, the environment, the low tax circumstances? What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with that, and that's one of the things we're trying on a national scale to tell people about. There's so many great things that happen here that I don't think we do a good job of telling the rest of the country. So yes, it's a great environment to live in. The cost of living is down. The resources are phenomenal here. We've got all sorts of great universities, all sorts of entrepreneurial organizations will help you get started, and mentors. We've got 32 of the top Fortune 500 companies in the country are based here. So this not only Dallas, but all of Texas is a thriving location right now to start business.
What industries? What kind? Give us some examples of some kinds of businesses that are successful right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Wall Street Journal released a report a few weeks ago about Genband being the #1 startup in the country, which is really exciting. So in Dallas, we see a lot of B2B type ideas. We have a great accelerator here called Tech Wildcatters that helps build businesses and get them started. We see a lot of internet-based businesses, a lot of things that really circulate around the types of major corporations we have here.
Talk about
restaurants were a big startup item here. Is that still true?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I know there's some restaurateurs in town who are supporting that by putting together incubators, accelerators, and trying to help people be successful. And that's such an important part of entrepreneurship, especially when you're dealing with new startups and first-time entrepreneurs, is you need people that have built businesses before that can come in and really
show you,
help you how to be successful.
Talk a minute about how the internet has just blown the barrier out to starting a business.
Well, the way that we have kind of traditionally grown up in Texas is the idea of boundaries and territories, because we're an oil and gas and real estate area. So all of those things have marks around them. Well, with the internet and technology, we've now become boundaryless. And so really the key here is to think about competition now in a different way, and think about it in how can we collaborate with each other. Because when we collaborate, we make a bigger marketplace, which not only helps the ecosystem, but it helps individual companies as well.
Okay. Trey Bowles, thank you so much for coming in today. Great to have you here, and there's so much more to talk about, so we might, just a warning, we might invite you back sometime in the near future.
All right, great.
And those are some of our opinions and ideas, but we'd love to hear what you have to say. And keep in mind, still to come on the Texas Daily, it was a birthday party like